Hey y'all, welcome to Water Break with the Water Boy and the comedian next door, John Branyan. I'm your logo. Is that how your logo kind of looks? No, not even close.
Not even close.
It's good to be with you guys on Thursday evening. Hope you're having a good week and getting ready for Christmas, the holiday seasons, all that goodness. We have a busy next couple weeks with Christmas, family weddings, stuff like that. So. And wrapping up school for the kids too. There's just a lot going on. So, but good to be with you guys. Also, don't forget to catch us on our Sunday special. We got some great interviews coming up with some pastors from Canada, and get to discuss with them what's going on in Canada and some of the plays they're looking into running. Lastly, the other thing I wanted to kind of bring to your attention is I've actually been having a lot of calls with Christian businessmen, CEOs, and so forth, and a number of them, I think, want to start doing like a monthly call, maybe a quarterly call. We haven't quite are sure, but if you're a CEO or a business leader that's at that genre, at that C level, email me at waterboy@crosspolitic.com. Just Christian businesses need to start networking together, need to start connecting, and there's a lot, I think, in the future that we need to be planning for. And so this is a kind of our way of maybe having those conversations and serving each other and helping each other and being able to maybe even provide some advice and counsel in what's going on in your neck of the woods. So with that said, I got to bring you to my corporate sponsor for this, for Cross Politic, but also for the show. Dime Payments is a Christian-owned processing payment business. Every business needs a payment processing system. I do. Cross Politic does. So go to dimepayments.com/FLF and sign your business up /FLF because Diamond Payments supports us when you sign up through that link. Work with them. They support us. They won't cancel you like Stripe canceled President Trump. They won't cancel you like MailChimp canceled the Babylon Bee. And like we've been canceled on YouTube on and off. YouTube's fickle with us. Right now we're on YouTube right now. So check them out. At least have a phone call with them. And tell them that Cross Politics sent you. I love working with these guys. It's been a fantastic time already transitioning over to them. So we're slowly trying to get off Stripe and PayPal and some of these other processing payment systems. So dimepayments.com/FLF. John, you need to get on there, man.
You're right. In fact, I talked to them at the conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good guys, and they go to our conference. It's pretty cool. John, did you see this past week, this man who wanted to be a woman, and apparently he swims for University of Pennsylvania.
I did see that.
U of P. Mm-hmm. And
he is dominating.
Yeah.
If I don't.
I covered this on my news brief yesterday, but then I started thinking more about this, and I want to talk to you about it, like the comedy of this whole scenario. So he swam in college as a man for 2 years,
right,
and then transitioned over to be a woman, and then is competing with them. And I never checked his stats as how he did as a man, I
think it was pretty good. I think I don't know exactly what they were, but he was a top swimmer
on the men's side of things.
On the men's side,
yeah.
And he is absolutely the best female swimmer on the team.
Well, and what was hilarious about all this? So he had this. He competed last week somewhere in Ohio. A bunch of universities got together and competing against each other, and he won by 38 seconds.
Yeah,
the next closest woman he beat by 38 seconds.
38 seconds, right?
Imagine as you tap the wall. He goes and taps the wall and. And then just kind of waits there for 38 seconons. Gets off, like, starts drying off.
He had time to towel off, put on his robe.
Take some Gatorade.
Mm-hmm. Before second place even touched the wall.
That's right. I mean, 38 seconds. Like the self-awareness that it takes to sit there for 38 seconds and you be excited about this victory over a bunch of women.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
No, I think that there's, he he gets out of the pool. He's drying off, his armpit hair drying off, and taking a sip of his Gatorade, and no one's still touched. I mean, he must have lapped him they must have been. I don't know how long the laps were, but probably at least a lap or two ahead of them for them to be
38 seconds. That's like a week. That's like a week in swim time.
In swim time. That's right. And so anyways, that kind of got me a little giggly there.
Well, it's happening though. The thing is that we're not talking about a parody. We're not talking about a skit, on some late night comedy show. This is a thing that's actually happening in our country, where men are just declaring themselves to be women and then swimming on the women's team, and the women are putting up with it. That's the thing that kind of baffles me, is why would you even swim under those conditions? Because
they aren't protected, and they probably don't feel protected, and they don't know, they can't cry foul. They got a whole university against them. Wouldn't you think? I mean, they got a whole university culture. I mean, NCAA's against them.
Well, is it though? Because they're women. You have an advantage being a woman, don't you? I mean, unless I'm completely out of touch with the way the culture's going.
But the man's a woman. He's part of them.
All women, and right, it's a collision of it's intersectionality, and so you've got all these intersectional groups that are colliding with one another now.
Right.
But it would be interesting if I was a woman on the college swim team. I think I would at least stage a. You'd lose
your scholarship because you're a hater.
Think so?
You're a hater. I think.
It would go to the guy. It would go to the biological male. That's
it's not a guy.
He would side with.
It's not a guy.
Huh.
Well, I don't think. I mean, you're right. It's a bunch of gods colliding right now, and right now, the gods are kind of outward facing and fighting conservatives and Christians and so forth. But once they kind of get past some of the initial outward fighting, they're gonna inwardly fight, and the gods are gonna collide, and it's gonna be a nasty battle, hands down. So you got the gods of transgenderism, the gods of feminism are gonna collide, and they will, and it'll be ugly.
Well, and fortunately, we won't be anywhere even in the arena with that.
Yeah, no. We'll be watching. I'll have my beer in my right hand and cigar in my left hand.
Well, and I would be. I guess if I was a woman, I wouldn't be at a university where I wasn't protected, I suppose.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's at some level, they're going to a university and they're probably being indoctrinated with pagan Marxism.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, we aren't clear thinking all the way, because I mean, like, how many conservative, even Christian kids, conservatives one bucket, conservative Christian a sub bucket, are sending their kids to these kind of colleges.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess if you're going to go to Penn State, for example, and you're going to be on the swim team, then this is what you're going to contend with. And so, best of luck to you. But that's the world that you're signing up for. So.
All right. So for my monologue, you guys got to stick around after monologue. Me and John are going to get in. John's got a speech he's going to deliver to you. So you got to stick around for that. But I've came up with a new name for my monologue. We're going to call it the cannonball. Here we go.
It's not the tsunami anymore?
No. Because I like that all my noises are splashes. So my transition noise is a splash.
Right. So you have to name your monologue according to the sound effects at your disposal. I'm
limited. I'm very limited. All right. So for the cannonball, America's quasi-socialism is why China's slavery still works. All right, that's the big thought. Let me back that up. When a country is in rebellion against God, her sin has ripple effects that not only span throughout her borders, but also will have international implications. We don't think about this. Our government believes it's God, and because of that, our government thinks that it has unlimited authority in every area of our lives. This is not a surprise to those who see it. But think about it. What area does our government not have its grabby tentacles in? Education? Your health? Well, COVID proved that. Your car? Wear your seatbelt. Your house? You got to have your sheetrock screws 4 inches apart. Your bank account? Your children? Education and more. I mean, that list goes on. The government has tentacles in every one of those areas I just listed and more. So when our government plays God and it believes it should, regulate our economy as God, I oversee the economy, demos God, the obvious impacts on you and me are felt and experienced in real time here. We got to pay more taxes. Like right now, Cross-Politic is at the end of the year, and we have to pay taxes. Cross-Politic, shocker, we have to pay taxes, but we're paying enough taxes to where Cross-Politic could actually hire a part-time employee this next year, which we desperately need. But we can't because we got to pay all these taxes. So I can't provide someone a job here at Cross-Politic that we desperately need because the government is all up in our taxes. But what we often miss is the ramifications that this has on other nations. I cannot hire my 11-year-old to fold shirts for my clothing company, for Rowdy Christian Clothing, which I'd love to do. I'd love to pay my 11-year-old do that. I need shirts folded. In fact, in most states, you can't even hire a teenager until they reach the age of 16. And then once that teenager gets to that legal age of employment, the government then also tells me how much I have to pay that teenager. This process creates an artificial operating base or starting point, and which in return precludes our economy from being able to participate in a real thriving manufacturing economy, or insert, other goods that other countries provide for us. I lost my point. I'm working on reading the screen, and my screen jumped on me.
Oh, I thought you were looking deep into my eyes when you did that.
It looked so good, didn't it?
Uh-huh. I was sold. I was convinced.
So we're precluded. Our economy is precluding us from being able to participate in a real thriving kind of manufacturing economy. That's true. Trying to get it to work here. This is why we do this on water break. And because we have an artificial floor to our economy, this means we have to go to other countries for goods that we cannot build or manufacture here in the U.S. We buy our textiles from other countries because it's too expensive to manufacture them here in the U.S. We buy our electronics, like my monitor here, like your iPhone, from China, because it's too expensive to manufacture our iPhones, our phones here in the U.S. So, in our highly regulated economy that includes minimum wages, outrageous taxation policies, government regulations on manufacturing facilities, and more, all contribute to our addiction to China's communistic economy. You would think about this. We should be able to make our own T-shirts here in the U.S., and it should be cheaper to make our own T-shirts or phones or whatever here in the U.S. and not have to ship them, across the world to America. It should be cheaper. We don't have to do all the shipping and all this expensive boats and costs and so forth, but it's still cheaper. It's well known that China is a modern-day slave-driven economy. That's what it is. And we have created conditions in which China can use slave labor to produce our goods. In fact, we put pressure on them for that. While at the same time, we can pretend we have nothing whatsoever to do with that slave labor. Our government has its knee on our neck through our quasi-socialistic economy, and the international ramifications from this create the conditions in which China can enslave the Uyghurs to work for Apple. That's what we've done. And all our regulations and all our taxations and all our minimum wage and all our age labor laws have structured everything in such a way where China's slave-driven economy we're addicted to that whole process. We need those ships. We need those Uyghurs making those cell phones for us. We need all that to support, because our economy cannot, dip under a certain level to be able to serve, because we've propped it up so high. What do you think, John?
Well, how much of that is the government, and how much of that is our own personal greed and materialism?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much of that is us saying, I can't live without an iPhone. I can't live without sneakers. I can't live without going out to eat a certain number of times per week.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that there's an immorality and there's a paganism in the government at work, and artificially messing around with what the market would demand or
would do. Yeah.
Like if you paid your 11-year-old son $2 an hour to fold shirts or whatever, whatever was fair and equitable to your son and to you, that should be between you and your employees.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so if the government comes in and says, no, you're mistreating your employees because you're not paying them what we think the minimum wage should be, that is immoral.
Right. Well, and that's why I want to hit on the big. I mean, I think greed, that's a fine sin to talk about, but that's also a harder sin to identify, because it usually has to do with what's going on in your heart. And I think obviously there's a lot of greed around a well-off nation like ours. I'm sure it's all around us. But what I can see, and what I know to be the lever that is allowing for a foreign country to manufacture all these goods and use expensive shipping methods to get them here to our country, and they can still produce a cheaper product, not better, but cheaper product than us, and they still have to ship it thousands of miles to us, and we can't compete with their price because of their slave labor. I mean, that's what we've done there. Now, because we've had minimum wage, which props up things. We have regulations, which makes it harder to get into the business, or to start a business, or to it makes it more expensive to make those goods and services because of the regulations. We've just pushed our economy up so high we can't even make our own textiles, our own electronics, our own phones because of that. And yet a country thousands of miles away can make it at a cheaper dollar amount than we can. That's cattywampus. Now, there is an argument in all this where there are certain countries that are better at making different products or goods and services. They have certain gifts, certain natural resources, stuff like that we won't be able to compete with. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but what I am saying is that our government has created the conditions where countries that have slave labor are allowed to exist without our own competition. We can't even create our own competition because we've regulated ourselves out of that competitive environment.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing that you're getting at is that on top of this minimum wage, or this livable wage, as people are saying it, is this sense of moral superiority. That we actually care about poor people in this country. That's why we are demanding that minimum wage be $15 an hour, because that's fair, and it will guarantee that they live above the poverty line. They'll be able to feed their children. They'll be able to make a decent living. And there's this moral superiority about that we're like, look at how much we care about the downtrodden and the oppressed. But that's not true.
Right.
We don't care at all about the people thousands of miles away who are living well below the poverty line, and we are benefiting from their labor because they're out of sight. They're out of the country. They're out of sight. And so it's this fake morality that tells us, oh yes, minimum wage is the government's way of taking care of poor people. It's not. There are millions of poor people that are allowing you to demand $15 an hour to flip hamburgers. That's not because you're a good person, and it's not because the government is good. It's because they're building that morality on the backs of millions of Chinese people who are making 3 cents a day.
John, I think I think you should run for president. You like that?
Is this a segue?
That was so good, wasn't it, man? I think you should run for president.
Well, Hillary actually read her acceptance speech yesterday. Did you read about that?
No.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Hillary is doing a master class. She's doing a master class for like NBC or something like that.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And then she read her acceptance speech that she would have done in front of everybody if she had beat Donald Trump. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she read her acceptance speech as she would have read it had she actually won the presidency. And so I realized that I have won as many presidential elections as Hillary has, and so I wrote an acceptance speech that I will read to you. I was inspired by Hillary Clinton to read my acceptance speech.
Bring it to me.
My fellow Americans, today you sent a message to the whole world that I am presidential material. Not good, America, not good. Our values endure, our democracy stands strong, but it is our rationality that I question. Rather than vote for an experienced candidate who campaigned effectively, you have elected a person whose name wasn't even on the ballot. My fellow Americans, I question your judgment. The American dream is big enough for everyone. The dream of becoming president is in the hearts of many children growing up, but it wasn't in mine. I kind of wanted to be an astronaut until I realized how dangerous it is up in space. I was pretty happy doing comedy in obscure venues, and to be honest, politics bores me. Don't be surprised if my performance as commander-in-chief is hampered by my apathy for the job. What I'm saying is that the next 4 years are going to be tough for all of us. You were challenged to choose between two very different visions of America. Neither of them were particularly good. Most of the problems that you face can't be fixed by politicians.
No.
I knew that. And that's the main reason that I didn't run for president. I'm both surprised and annoyed to be standing before you today. I'll do my best, but if you're anticipating that life will radically improve, let me encourage you to lower your expectations. My fellow Americans, you made a big mistake electing me. I'm opposed to 90% of the government programs currently operating.
Vote for John Branyan. Vote for John Branyan.
On day one, I will start to dismantle the socialist systems that many of you hold sacred. The euphoria of political victory will be short-lived. You who cheer me today will be wishing me dead by tomorrow. And in closing, I'm reminded of the immortal words of Forrest Gump, who said, "Stupid is as stupid does." When you're cursing whatever gods you worship for inflicting my administration upon your family, I hope you will remember you brought this on yourselves.
I got a crowd laughing. That's what I did. You know, John, what I liked about that was your very honest statement about that it's just not going to be good for anybody these next 4 years, and that's actually probably true for most presidents whenever they're elected. The next 4 years, I'm not going to make your life better. In fact, I'm going to give you more government is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. That's good.
I wonder how many people are out there that would actually resonate with a speech like that. I wonder if you could actually run on a platform that says, yeah, this is going to be hard for all of us. And if you're expecting me to come in and do anything that's going to radically improve your life, let's rein in those expectations a little bit. And let's just be honest. There's a lot of big messes out there that have to be cleaned up, and it's going to hurt. And I don't know if we're past the point where that would have any hope at all of working.
You know, it's a bad business model to overpromise and underdeliver. Mm-hmm. And that's the politician that wants to constantly make all these promises, constantly wants to, I'm going to fix your life. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But the thing is, like, as voters, we're like this kicked puppy. We keep coming back, and we're still pretty happy to come back too.
Right.
Right. We vote for you. You get in office, and then you kick us, and then we come back, and like 4 years later, we forgot that you kicked us.
Right.
And there you go.
We vote for you again.
You should. That should be. You should run for president, and your motto's "I kick puppies" or something.
Yeah. Well, my motto would be. I've thought about this. If I ran for president, it would be John Branyan for president. Why not? And that would just be
why not?
Yeah.
So my buddy was in a philosophy class in college back in 2001, and the final midterm, something like that, the midterm or the final of the test was, he studied hard for it. This is a real story. I'm not joking here. And he gets into class, and the question, and there's only one question on the test, and the question was why. And his response was why not. That was it.
How do you do?
That was I should ask him. It's been so long, I can't remember the result of that. But I should actually text him and ask him how he did. But there you go, John Branyan. Why not?
That would be. I heard a similar story about a philosophy professor whose test, the final was describe, or how was the question? Something about a chair. It was prove the existence of this chair, and they were supposed to philosophically prove that the chair in the middle of the room was actually there.
Wow.
And it was prove that this chair does not exist. Prove that this chair does not exist.
Okay.
And the only kid that scored an A on the test, his answer was what chair. So
wow.
That's what you do in philosophy class.
What university was this?
I don't know, probably Penn State.
University of Pennsylvania.
University of Pennsylvania, yeah.
Where a guy can beat a girl by 38 seconds.
Where men are women and women are men. And
the self-awareness is...
Yeah, nobody raises their hand and goes, what's going on here?
Did he just win by 38 seconds? No one asked that question.
Right.
Come on now.
38 seconds. Well, yeah, I think that I have a pretty cynical, pessimistic outlook on life for the most part.
Yeah, you do.
Multiple years ago, I reasoned that people who are of good character, this was back when we were complaining about Bill Clinton, and we were complaining about
the good old days.
Bush,
the good old days.
Right, the good old days when politicians were no different. But we were complaining about character, character matters, character magic. And I reasoned at that time that by the time you get to a level where you're actually seriously being considered for president of the United States, you have to have compromised a load of principles in order to even get there. Mm-hmm. Because you watch the guys in the earlier stages of the campaigning when they're trying to jockey for position to see who's going to get to be the candidate.
Right.
And the ones that get thrown out almost immediately are the ones who stand up for their faith, their religion, the values that they genuinely have. Mm-hmm. They get thrown out because they're cast as, well, you're not a president who would be for all the people, mm-hmm. because you are so myopic, you're so narrow in your beliefs that you're not going to be able to relate to the widespread needs of the entire country. Next show,
John, we should do come up with a list of presidential slogans that I'm going to make homosexuality sinful again. Just campaign slogans that are going to get you canceled. There you go.
Yeah. Just presidential slogans for people who don't want to be president.
That's right, but still care about truth.
Right.
That's good. We'll do that. Next show, next water break. Hold us accountable. Write that down, John. There's the pen. Hey, man.
There's my pen.
Have a Merry Christmas, John. Good hanging with you. Make sure you guys, if you want to support Rowdy Christian Media, join our club during Christmas. We got a great man box coming out to you guys. Also, go to rowdychristian.com. We got some great, beautiful little Fight, Laugh, Feast bracelets for the lady in your life. So go to rowdychristian.com for that. Go to Fight, Laugh, Feast or flfnetwork.com to sign up for our club. Support what we're doing. Really appreciate it. We're heading into 2022, and we have a lot of plans and need a lot of help and support. So please join our club. It helps us in great ways. And so until next time, catch our show Sunday night. Until Sunday night, love God and go fight, laugh, and feast. This is the water break.
Splash.
Cancel culture is real. Cross-Politic is on the front lines of this battle with the goal of creating a Christian television network and platform where we can't be canceled and where content creators will have the freedom to glorify God. Our goal is to create a space for like-minded businesses to thrive on this platform and to reach an audience that will not only buy your products and services, but also support your business when the heat of cancel culture comes your way. We want our platform to help you create an anti-fragile business as we bring together Christians from all over the world to tune in. With millions of downloads a year, access to DirecTV, Xfinity, and social media outlets, we are excited to partner with you. So, if you own a business and believe in this vision, then you need to call me. I'm Garrison Hardy, and I am the Business Development Rep at Cross-Politic and the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. We are looking for businesses, large or small, that not only have great products and services, but also understand that the cultural battle that is impacting the business climate here and now. I have a background in marketing, and I'd love to help you advertise your business on Cross-Politic. Give me a call at 208-792-1290 or email me at garrison@fightlaughfeast.com.